You're listening to Rebel Spirituality with me, Sam Goldfinch. Here's the truth. Wisdom doesn't follow rules. So each week we're going to explore what it means to wake up your way so you can live a more peaceful, creative and inspired life no matter your circumstances. It's time to blaze your unique path to truth. It's so incredibly wise, and very often we're getting in the way by getting a bit thinky. We're getting in the way of the very natural healing processes that the body has. Hey, you beautiful people. Okay, another episode of the Rebel Spirituality podcast. And this week, I have a feeling it might be short and sweet, but you never know. Let's see. I want to talk about the wisdom in the system, the wisdom in the body, just one element of it, all right? Now, one thing we don't really think about is this. Language has been kicking around for about 100,000 years or so, right? Developing and growing and becoming more, sophisticated. And we're able to represent more and more concepts and metaphors and figurative things through the imagination over those years. But anatomically, my understanding of how we've looked quite similar to how we look now is like 300,000 years or so. Not an absolute expert in this, so if you're super interested, go and have a look at it. But a long time, and here's the point. Our body and our ability to be aware and move and all those things has been around a lot longer than the intellect and the part of us that's creating concept and adding layers of imagination onto the objects and things we see out there, right? So we've evolved and we've been around a world of objects. We've been around a world of things for a very, very long time. And then through the power of language, we've been adding layers of things on top of that, which has allowed us to create the future and create the past. And it's just fascinating. But the other thing it's allowed us to do is kind of conceptualize and intellectualize the process of feeling or even being in the moment, right? So we can have a concept of what it's like to live in the now, or we can be attempting to process an emotion such as anger or hate, or even understand love or something using the intellect, when for hundreds of thousands of years before the advent of language, we'd already been doing this. We'd been processing things in the system. There's so much wisdom in the system. Before we looked like this, right? Before anatomically we looked like we do now, we were going through other kind of processes of evolution or whatever it was that was happening. We still knew how to process our emotions throughout nature. There aren't any animals making a problem out of their emotions. They're not judging themselves. They don't have a story about how they should or shouldn't feel or how long they are, how far along in their path they are or whatever, right? That's really worth knowing. It's really worth knowing because we live in a society that puts the intellect on a pedestal, that says the concepts and intellects are the number one thing, and that everything needs some kind of neat bow. If you're going to work through some kind of emotional process, there's going to be like a neat bow at the end of it where you can say, oh, that's done now because my intellect has gone tick. 1 + 1 = 2. When actually the body and the wisdom that we have in our somatic body and the ability to shift these energies is ancient and so wise, and is, equally as powerful, if not more powerful, than any kind of intellectual attempt to process. Now, I'm not here to say I don't want to get rid of my intellect. I do not want to get rid of my self-concepts. Like it's very powerful to have one. It's very helpful to help us navigate through our lives, right? But the truth is that it's not enough on its own for us to live a wise life. It's we're not this body, right? We're the awareness that sits beyond and behind it, if you like, to use a metaphor. But we have one. And for all of the time that we're here, exploring the world in this incarnation, in this bodysuit, with this name, in this concept or whatever, it's really beautiful to realize the safety of our psychological experience and how the body has got our back, how it's so incredibly wise. And very often we're getting in the way by getting a bit thinky. We're getting in the way of the very natural healing processes that the body has by getting a bit thinky. And it's just so innocent, right? But we don't have to be so thinky. It's not getting us the very things that we think it is. So for any of us who've grown up in a world or a home where we've been told the intellect is the master of all things, I'm here to kind of say, what if that's not true? What is it like when you look across the span of time? that's been needed in order for me and you to sit here and have this conversation now? How is it that you can transcend a feeling in a moment, something that you've been battling with for years, potentially in your head? And I know many of you have reached out to me after listening to some of these podcasts and said, Sam, that podcast has set me free from something that's been nipping at my heels for 20 years, or nipping at your heels might be a bit light. It might be something much, much heavier than that, or it felt a lot heavier than that. And then one insight and boof, the system clears it, or clears a huge part of it through us, right? Because we realize that we've been pushing it down, that we've been scared to feel it, that we've thought it was our job. Well, you don't have to do that. You don't have to give the intellect a whole bunch of jobs that you're giving it when it comes to emotional processing or alchemy or transmutation, whatever kind of words you want to use, transformation. The body knows everything. The body knows everything. It's got so much wisdom, so much deep wisdom. And all we have to do is align with it, take our hands off the steering wheel, and it will take care of so many things that we've thought we've needed to take care of for our whole life. So this week, as you go about your day to day, are there some things that you can stop outsourcing to the intellect? You can take your hands off the wheel. Can you breathe? Can you just do that like natural, in the truest sense, your nature? Get back into the breath, get back into the body. Because the other thing that often happens is when we hop into the intellect or into the concept, we're disembodied. We're in the world of the concept. We're not in the feeling. We're not in the sensations, which is why somatically, sometimes something so simple, like a question of, where can I feel this in my body? What's this like? What's the nature of this like? Just that, without any kind of anything else needed, but just inviting something in can be profound and can be a game changer. We dip a toe in. Bit by bit by bit, our body comes alive. We start to feel, and like I've said again and again, feeling is healing. Like it sounds like some nice thing you read on a postcard or something, right? But it's deeply there's a deep truth behind it that's powerful beyond anything that we can kind of conceive of. It's literally dialed into wisdom, the intelligence behind life, that which makes trees, Gaia. Call it what you want. So yeah, have a think. Don't have a think, in fact. There we go, look at that. Don't have a think. Have a feel and see what comes to you this week. All right, team. I'll see you soon.